Hey guys, wow, it's midnight in Brooklyn. You hear the clatter of boots outside your window, then a fist hammers your door like it owes them money. Flashlights slice through the darkness. You barely have time to sit up before they're shouting. ICE agents, vests, M4 rifles, faces like stone. They yell a name that isn't yours, but they're already in, already dragging your cousin, your father, your baby sister's boyfriend to the floor. You match the description. You ask what description. They say nothing. Just cuff. Just search. This wasn't supposed to happen. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Post your location and local time in the comments. I want to know where and when you're watching this. Summary, inspirational, call to action, and let's go on the journey of today's story together. Now back to Brooklyn. The man they arrested that night? A Jamaican-American electrician named Corey Deshaun Davis. He was born in Flatbush, never left the state, no priors. But the agents insisted he looked like the target. Same hair, same skin tone. They held him for 12 days in Bergen County Jail before releasing him with a form letter and no apology. His mother said, "They came for a ghost, and they stole my son's life for 2 weeks. What's worse?" According to a Reuters dispatch from last month, ICE has recently restarted pre-dawn residential enforcement in mixed-status neighborhoods, without warrants in many cases. Add to that an internal memo published by Wired showing ICE's predictive software uses arrest records clustered by zip code. Translation: if your neighbor made a mistake, you just became a suspect too. Oh, and here's your off-topic twist. ICE's official site just posted a feel-good story. ICE hosts dog show at detention facility. If four-legged PR could scrub away the trauma. You stand there in the dark, door broken, family crying, wondering if you'll be next. Because what's the point of being legal, being born here, if they still treat your body like probable cause? You sit at your kitchen table now, days later, trying to make sense of what just happened. You Google the phrase, "How does ICE decide who to arrest?" You scroll through bureaucratic language and legal gray zones until you hit the heart of it. Discretion, agent discretion, algorithmic discretion, neighborhood-based predictive modeling. What begins to appear through the fog is that this isn't randomness, it's design. You see that race isn't just a side effect of ICE raids, it's baked into the machine. A study by the ACLU revealed that ICE disproportionately targets Latino and Black communities, especially those living in ethnic enclaves. This data is confirmed by researchers at Syracuse University's TRAC project. 9 out of 10 ICE arrests occur in zip codes with a majority non-white population. There's no legal framework saying ICE can consider race, but there's also no system stopping it. A 2023 ICE handbook update, available through a public records request, states agents may act on community characteristics and local indicators. What does that mean? A group of Black men speaking Spanish on a corner? A Salvadoran restaurant next to a bus station? When local indicators look suspiciously like skin color and surname, profiling isn't theoretical, it's operational. Then there's the data sharing. Fusion centers created for counterterrorism are now pipelines feeding ICE with DMV records, utility bills, and social media chatter. Wired magazine broke this in a 2022 expose. ICE and the algorithm, how data builds a target. The software flags names, associates, addresses. None of it requires a warrant. You learn about a man in Phoenix, detained because he shared a common Hispanic name with someone flagged in a decades-old marijuana arrest. They never corrected the file. They never verified identity, just rolled the van. And here's your ironic sidebar. ICE's homepage boasts a Diversity and Inclusion Council, promoting equity in hiring. The same week their agents pulled a U.S. Army veteran off a Greyhound bus in Texas for appearing foreign. ICE.gov celebrated internal diversity while ignoring the external destruction. So you're starting to understand, this isn't about legality, it's about optics, stats, quotas, and how easy it is to mistake pigmentation for probability. You meet Miguel in a dusty Georgia parking lot. He's got a rake in one hand and a sandwich in the other, sunburnt and squinting. He tells you his story like it happened yesterday, because it basically did. 2 weeks ago, on a Tuesday, Miguel Hernandez, a U.S. citizen born in Houston, was walking out of Home Depot with mulch in his cart when an unmarked SUV blocked his path. Men jumped out. ice vests, guns low, badges high. One of them asked in Spanish if he had papers. Miguel replied in English, "I was born in Texas." Another said, "You look Mexican." That was it. They cuffed him, loaded him into the SUV. No Miranda, no explanation, just procedure. His wife, Andrea, got a frantic call 3 hours later from the Atlanta processing center. Miguel had asked for a phone call only because another detainee loaned him one. For 48 hours, no one verified his ID. It took a viral Facebook post and a local lawyer to intervene. The local news ran it quietly. Man mistakenly detained in immigration mix-up. A mistake, just a little bureaucratic hiccup, like putting salt in your coffee instead of sugar. Except it left Miguel with bruises on his wrists, a panic disorder, and a recurring dream of being pulled from his bed at night. Social media caught fire briefly, especially when someone posted the agent's body cam audio. One joke, "If I had $1 for every Hernandez I caught, I'd be retired." The laughter in the van? That wasn't a mistake. Miguel now avoids grocery stores alone. He stopped speaking Spanish in public. His 7-year-old asked why Poppy wears a tie now just to go to Walmart. Oh, and here's your cold detail. ICE issued no public statement. But a feature on NIPOST.com the same week celebrated an unrelated raid, calling it a win for national security. Never mind the wrong bodies, never mind the broken lives. Because for ICE, Miguel's face was a quota. And for Miguel, America just became a country where his birth certificate isn't enough. Now you want numbers, proof, not just stories whispered behind closed doors or shared in broken English at the laundromat. You pull up the latest report from TRAC Immigration, a nonpartisan data research center at Syracuse University. It's there in black and white. 72% of those detained by ICE in the past fiscal year had no criminal convictions. That's nearly 3 out of 4 people. You stare at that number. Let it sink in, dig deeper, and you find something even colder. Of the so-called non-criminal arrests, a full 28% were based solely on unverified tips, anonymous calls, unconfirmed license plate sightings, or ICE's own profiling protocols. Translation, your ex could call ICE and ruin your life. Your neighbor could see you barbecuing with cousins and decide you look suspicious. That's all it takes. No due process, no red flag system. Then there's this. ICE is making more arrests at courthouses, schools, and hospitals than ever before. A joint investigation by the Marshall Project and the LA Times tracked over 800 such arrests in just 1 year, many targeting people seeking legal aid, medical help, or child custody hearings. In one case, a mother was arrested in the hospital waiting room after her daughter's surgery. Her offense? She overstayed a visa 20 years ago. She never saw her daughter again. And in ICE's own documentation, yes, on ice.gov, you find a chilling phrase, collateral arrests. It means if they come for someone and find others nearby who might be undocumented, they're fair game too, like catching fish with dynamite. You weren't the target, but you're still in the net. Here's your unsettling sidebar. ICE recently released a press release praising record-level efficiency in 2025 raids. AI tools, automation, they're proud of it. What's efficiency when people like Miguel become data points? When matches come from software trained on flawed bias policing databases? The facts don't lie. ICE's dragnet isn't about justice, it's about saturation, presence, fear. It's a numbers game. And you? You might just be a decimal in someone's quarterly report. You sit across the table from a man in uniform. He's calm, direct, articulate, an ICE spokesperson from a recent NPR town hall on immigration enforcement. When asked about racial profiling, he doesn't blink. "We follow the law," he says. "We do not consider race, we consider status and threat level." The audience nods politely, but you notice he never answers the follow-up. How do agents determine threat in the field? Let's go deeper. ICE's public defense hinges on 2 words, lawful discretion. They argue that every arrest is made based on immigration status, not ethnicity. But civil rights attorneys point to dozens of court filings where skin tone, language, and zip code form the basis for suspicion, often with no immigration status confirmed until well after detention. So who's right? Here's the other side. Supporters say ICE operates in chaos, limited resources, dangerous targets, and sometimes they do stop someone with a violent past, like the Honduran gang member ICE highlighted in a June press release, convicted criminal apprehended near elementary school. That story ran for days across WWT and Fox, sparking outrage. "We need ICE," the headlines cried. "Who else is watching our borders?" But the truth? That arrest was an outlier. ICE didn't just grab him, they swept up 6 other men working drywall 2 blocks away. No convictions, no gang ties, just brown faces in the wrong part of town. Civil rights activists push back hard. The ACLU's latest litigation argues that ICE's reliance on racialized data makes every Latino male between 18 and 50 a potential suspect. Their lawsuits point to pattern after pattern: raids in overwhelmingly non-white neighborhoods, stops without warrants, arrests at schools with bilingual signage. And in court, even when judges question these patterns, ICE claims operational necessity. It's the magic phrase, the shield behind which profiling becomes policy. Meanwhile, public debate rages on Twitter. "They protect us," one user writes. Another responds, "They just stole my neighbor during his lunch break." So what's the ethical line? Do you measure safety by numbers or by justice, by borders protected or by lives crushed? You stare at the question and you realize it stares back. You walk through a neighborhood in East LA. Murals line the walls. Aztec gods, monarch butterflies, clenched fists. But the streets feel quieter than they used to. Less laughter, fewer kids riding bikes. You stop by a small grocery store, and the owner, Louisa, tells you business has dropped 40% since the last ICE raid 2 months ago. "People are afraid," she says, "even citizens. No one wants to be seen." And it's not just commerce that's gone. School counselors are seeing more absences. At one elementary school, attendance fell by 17% in the week after a nearby workplace raid. A principal in Maryland told The Guardian some students saw their parents taken, others just disappeared. Then there's healthcare. A 2024 report from the Migration Policy Institute found a sharp decline in ER visits among immigrant families in the wake of high-profile ICE arrests. People are skipping dialysis, prenatal care, chemotherapy, not because they're healthy, but because they're terrified. One father told a nurse, "If I go in, I may not come out." Mental health? Don't even start. Anxiety, depression, PTSD symptoms, especially among children, have exploded. One therapist quoted in the Marshall Project said she now treats children who play ICE raid during recess. They pretend to hide under desks. They scream in Spanish. Real impact isn't always a statistic. Sometimes it's the girl who stopped talking after her uncle was taken, or the boy who pees himself in class because sirens make him panic. It's the restaurant worker who quit because the parking lot felt too exposed, the Uber driver who turns off his app near government buildings, the mother who teaches her 5-year-old what to say if men with guns break down the door. Meanwhile, ICE keeps pushing its public image. On ice.gov, they've added a community engagement tab. It links to a coloring book for kids, a cartoon eagle and a badge. "Let's learn about immigration," it says. You almost laugh. Almost. But then Louisa shows you the photo on her phone. Her niece, gone for 3 months. No charges, no updates, just gone. And the joke catches in your throat. You stare out a window now, city lights blinking below, the hum of traffic like a distant lullaby. It's late, but you can't sleep. You keep thinking, what does justice even mean if it doesn't apply to everyone? You remember being a kid, reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, with liberty and justice for all. Back then it sounded simple, but now you see the fault lines, the illusion. Because if justice is conditional on your name, your accent, your skin, then it's not justice, it's permission. ICE's own mission statement right there on ice.gov reads, "To protect America from the cross-border crime and illegal immigration that threaten national security and public safety." Noble words. But words can lie. And the truth? The truth is Miguel. The truth is Luisa's niece. The truth is Corey Deshaun Davis dragged from his bed for matching a description. You think about America's founding documents, how they promise equality while being written by men who owned slaves, how those promises echo through generations, always just out of reach for some. You think of Dr. King, of James Baldwin, of your own grandfather who crossed the desert with a Bible and a tin of sardines, all for a dream he hoped was real. And maybe that's the heartbreak, realizing that dream is selective, that some people get the benefit of doubt while others get the butt of a rifle. That some citizens are treated like citizens and others are asked to prove it every day. Even ICE agents, you imagine, didn't join to become symbols of fear. Many were veterans, sons of immigrants themselves. But systems eat intentions, and quotas don't leave room for questions. You ask yourself, what would it take to fix this? Laws? Sure. Oversight? Of course. But deeper than that, maybe we need to redefine what we're protecting. Because if protecting America means destroying the lives of those who are already part of it, then who are we? In the end, you can't shake one thought. Maybe justice isn't blind. Maybe she just looks away when it's inconvenient. And maybe it's time someone made her look again. You close your eyes and picture one final scene. A small town in the Rio Grande Valley, a candlelight vigil, dozens gathered in the parking lot of a Catholic church, heads bowed, candles flickering like restless fireflies. They're not here for a funeral. Not yet. They're here because a boy named Ernesto disappeared last week after ICE came to his house looking for someone else. He's 15, U.S. born, no one's heard from him since, no record, no case file, just gone. His sister speaks into a microphone, voice trembling. If my brother can vanish, so can yours. The crowd murmurs, then silence. So now you're wondering, what can you do? Let's make it simple. First, share this video. Not for me, for Miguel, for Luisa, for that kid who hides every time a siren blares. Awareness is armor. If we stay silent, this keeps happening. Second, know your rights. The ACLU has printable ICE raid guides in multiple languages. Teach your family, print a copy, tape it near your door. Third, file FOIA requests. Use TRAC.SAR and ICE.gov to demand local raid data. Shine a flashlight into those hidden corners. These systems thrive in darkness. Fourth, support local organizers. Groups like Races United We Dream and Magente are fighting in the courts, on the streets, and in the halls of Congress. They need you, not just your donation, but your voice. And finally, vote every level, school board, sheriff, city council, because immigration enforcement doesn't start in D.C. It starts when your local cop calls ICE instead of helping. Meanwhile, ICE continues to release their own narrative. A recent post on Reuters.com lauded their expanding public-private task forces. Translation? More raids, more data, more names on lists. So ask yourself, are you okay with that? Because silence is a side. And in a country where looking wrong can get you caged, your voice might be the only shield someone else has. No one is safe until everyone is. And now, breathe. Let the tension slide from your shoulders. Let the names, the images, the numbers settle. You've traveled deep into a system that thrives on shadows, and it's okay to feel heavy. It means you're still human, still paying attention. Think of Miguel, his rake left in the grass. Think of Luisa's niece, still not home. Think of Ernesto, 15, somewhere in a holding cell that no one wants to admit exists. Their stories don't end because the camera stopped rolling. They're living them still today, tomorrow, and until something shifts. Let yourself feel the weight of that truth. Then let it move you. Not to despair, but to action, to compassion, to curiosity. Ask more questions. Share what you know. Refuse to unsee what you've seen. Because justice isn't a switch you flip. It's a door you hold open for someone else. And when you wake tomorrow and the noise of the world floods back in, politics, headlines, emails, remember this moment, this feeling, this clarity. It matters more than any algorithm, more than any quota. You've just spent time in someone else's shoes. And maybe, just maybe, you're not the same as when we started. Thank you for listening.